Hey everybody, back again. I know it's been a long time. So, a few weeks ago I tried to update my audio driver so that I'd be able to output my audio from my laptop through the HDMI on my TV. Anyway, it broke my mic, so I wasn't able to record, and I figure nobody just wants to read a bunch of text. So I decided I was going to hold off on making a video until I could get another mic. And a lot of my friends, a lot of my followers have all suggested that I should get a mic, so I've done that, and this is going to be the first video I use with this mic. Hopefully it'll be well. This week's I'm making up for last week, so I didn't do the meta last week, so I'll be doing the meta this week. So because the meta isn't really involving actual gameplay, more mechanics and more about strategy, I'm just playing a game here in the background to entertain you while you learn, I guess. I'm playing Jungle Maokai. I don't really jungle and I don't really play Maokai, so I do pretty poorly if you're intending to watch just for me playing Maokai. I would suggest find somebody else's video. But this week about the meta. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the meta or have seen people call bot and then they're automatically ADC or something to that kind of account. I don't really know how to explain it. An instance of you seeing people talk about the meta. So the meta is really the way people play the game. So like metacognition is thinking about thinking. So meta game is gaming the game, I guess is the easiest way to say it. And what does it mean to be gaming the game? It's the best strategy to win. So currently, in this current meta, you break it down into lanes and roles. And top lane and mid lane are both top lane, mid lane, and jungle are all pretty open to your interpretation of how you want to do it. And then bot lane is generally ADC and support. But there's a lot of variations that pro teams are trying out, and even if you just find a group of guys that you want to play with that you trust, go ahead and try out all sorts of different strategies. I mean, just because this is the meta right now doesn't mean that it's the only way to play the game. So in the current meta, you have one top laner, one mid laner, one jungler, and then two bot. And these bots are, like I said, ADC and support. Mid lane is generally an assassin of some kind. It could be AP, or you can see here we have a Yasuo. He's playing AD. So it really just depends on the play style you have, if you want to go AD or AP. Now the thing you have to keep in mind though is you have to have a balance. Generally you'll see two AD champions and two AP champions, as then a utility champion. Your utility champion is generally support, but there are some junglers that are more utility, I feel, than falling into the other category of AP or AD. And then top laner is generally your tankier, your burstier, tankier champion. So like your Darius, a Jax, Shyvana, those types of champions who got a lot more health, can take a lot more beating. And in the late game, you'll see that they're the ones starting the engagements. They're the ones who are taking the most damage up front and peeling for your ADC, who's going to be doing the most sustained output damage. And I know I said mid champion is bursty, but that's burst damage, not sustained damage like your ADC is. And then next you have a jungler. And the jungler, he's kind of a unique role because he's got to be able to either kill champions really fast. And I play Fiora, and occasionally jungle Fiora, and she has no CC of any kind. So it's really difficult for hard ganks if I'm not really fed, or if I'm not going to gank a lane that has CC in it. Whereas now I'm playing Maokai, he has nothing but CC. Every one of his abilities will either lock down an opponent or will slow them. So it makes his ganks very brutal. And again, with jungling, you want to be really mobile. You want to be going to where you are needed. So I don't have a clip of Champ Select, but generally in Champ Select is where the most metagaming is happening, and you don't really know it per se, but that is where Champ Select is where games are made or broken. Really, if you have all AD, all the opposing team has to do is build armor, and you're locked down. If you have all AP, same thing. They just build MR. So and then if you pick all bursty champions, they just build tanky, and one person takes all the burst, and then you're losing and sustained. So it's kind of a weird mixture. I mean, all bursty does work. I've seen it work because you can isolate champions and take them down very fast. And then not having a tank is also pretty detrimental. So in this champion select, like I said, you want to try to find 2 AD champions and 2 AP champions. It doesn't really matter what lane they're in. Like I said, ADCs generally go bot lane, but I've seen Twisted Fates go bot and do very well. And then I've seen Vayne's top do very well. So really, it's how you want to mix it up. How do you want to beat your opponent this week, pretty much. That was bad. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about picking lanes. Generally, you're going to want to pick who you play best. If that role is taken, you could try branching out or try playing a role that you didn't necessarily play. Like I was saying, Fiora, she's generally a top lane champion. And one time, top was already taken, and I'd read online, like, she's a very capable jungler, so I decided, hey, I'll go ahead and try to jungle Fiora and see how that turns out. And it turned out well. We won the game. So I mean, you can always play a different role with your champions than you're used to, and some champions actually lend themselves better to an alternate role. So say Tristana, she's an ADC, but all of her abilities scale off AP, so she's a very capable mid laner as well, because she's very bursty if you build her AP. So let's go talk about some variations on the meta. I was watching a couple pro games, and there's a pretty unique twist on the meta, where in the early game you pull your top laner and your jungle, and you have 4 bot and 1 mid. So with 4 bot, obviously you're gonna overpower the bot lane, and hopefully you'll be able to take their tower before you lose your tower, or about the same time you lose your tower. And for a top laner to lose his outer tower is not that big of a deal, because I mean, he just pulls back a little bit and farms just the same. For an ADC to lose theirs though, it's pretty dangerous, because they're pretty exposed to getting ganked. They're not available to roam until they've taken tower. So with you taking that first tower, you're able to now roam up to mid lane. So it makes all the lanes a little bit more comfortable when you're farming in it. The disadvantage of this, of course, is that with 4 players bot, they're not getting as much experience. So if the bot lane is actually able to withstand it long enough, you're going to be underleveled and you're going to lose your top lane turret. So it's a huge gamble, but it does have a high percentage payoff. Another one that I've seen and actually participated in was a swap. So instead of going ADC support bottom, you go ADC and then bruiser top, and then if you pick a support that's good at clearing lanes, say like Karma is pretty effective at clearing lanes, then you end up being able to sustain bottom lane and really suppress top lane. So either the jungler is going to be top a lot, or you're going to be able to pull that tower away from them. And then with that, your support is going to be able to get to a higher level faster. For the same reason, having 4 bot is a bad idea. It gives you less experience. So it's another pretty common one. Of course, you can make up whatever meta you want. The meta is a strategy, and then everything else in game are just tactics, right? So strategies win wars, tactics win battles. So this is a pretty tried and true method of winning games, is having 1 top, 1 mid, 2 bot, and 1 jungle. I should mention, for all of you newer players that kind of think that jungling is bad, you feel like it's slower, that it's going to get you underfarmed. I've seen a lot of this because I've been playing on my alt recently, and they feel like jungle is a bad idea. Like, I've literally had people say, no, I'm not, like, let's not jungle, it's a bad idea. Which is a bad idea. So a duo top is what the alternative to that is. Now with a duo top, you have the problem that you're going to get underleveled, and generally a top laner is capable of sustaining. So if that top laner sustains before long enough, then your jungler and the top laner are going to have more experience to be a higher level than are going to just be a higher level. It's going to be terrible for you. Generally when I see a duo top and I'm the solo top, I'm giddy with joy because it's like an easy win for our team, honestly. So yeah, that's kind of like what the meta is broken down into. My next few weeks, next 5 weeks, I'm going to be highlighting each role. I'll be redoing my support video. I'll be starting off with top lane, and then mid. ADC, I'm not a really great ADC, but I'll go ahead and play a few games, try to learn the ins and outs of it, and then share what I learn with all of you guys. And then I'll be going to support, I'll redo the video, and then I'll be hitting jungle. I'll try to highlight different play styles of each of those roles. And by play styles, I mean different types of champions. And that way you can see like how each role should perform. And that's about it. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this week's segment on the meta. If you have any comments, maybe something you've tried, maybe something I missed, please go ahead and leave it in the comments, and go ahead and click that like button, and please subscribe. It'll really help me out. As always, hope you had fun. I had fun. Catch you next time.